Have you guys ever found yourself like unable to find the inspiration to start a new piece of music or something like that? Well, I definitely have in the past, and I want to share with you like my top 5 sources of inspiration that kind of help me when I need to think of a new idea. So anyway, let's get into it. So last week on the Producer Mindset, I talked about motivation, and today I want to talk about inspiration, which is a little bit similar but different. Same but different, right? One of the most important things with inspiration that I've mentioned before is that you don't sort of wait around for inspiration to strike before you like start your work, because sometimes you will get inspired as you're just doing your work anyway. So definitely don't let inspiration be an excuse like not to crack on. The reason why I think inspiration is really special and important, for me at least, is it allows me to formulate like a theme or a topic like for the track that I'm going to make, and then once I've got this like in my mind and I've like thought about the kind of message I want to portray, almost like even if it's just in my head while I'm making it and no one else understands like what I was actually going for, like having that kind of theme in my mind while I'm producing it, like keeps me sort of emotionally attached and invested into like the project. Whereas if I would start something from scratch without having like a bit of a sort of story in my head about what's sort of going on in the actual song, then like I don't really care as much and I can just scrap it and I won't end up finishing it. So that's why I think it's really cool if you have like a really like a bit of a story going on in your head before you start a track. And then it just keeps you a bit more sort of, involved and I guess excited about it. And you definitely like put a bit more effort into it and you want to finish it. So yeah, that being said, I've thought of like 5 main sources that I've used for inspiration when I've started making a song. And when I talk about inspiration, I actually sort of always think about it in 2 ways. It's either something's inspired me for like the theme or the topic or the message of the particular song that I want to write, or something's inspired me for the kind of sonic like flavour I want to go for, like the kind of sound I want to go for with this particular song, or the kind of samples that I want to use. So it comes in 2 forms, in my opinion, in no particular order. Number 1, I'm going to go with my current life, what's going on in my life. For example, my last track was called Gaslight, and it was a bit of a homage to going through like a really bad relationship breakup and that kind of thing. And yeah, it sounds a bit cliche and a bit cheesy, like writing about your breakups, but when you're doing stuff that's directly related to you and you're expressing yourself, because music is a form of expression, like that's often where you can get some of your sort of best creative juices flowing. Now this song is a pretty crazy one. I wouldn't say it's my best by any means, but anyway, like just being open to expressing yourself anyway, it's just, it's something really great might come out of it, you never know. I always remember watching this documentary about Nina Simone, who's like one of my favourite singers, and she like went through a really terrible life, like her husband abused the hell out of her, and really dark stuff, but you could kind of hear this coming through on her voice as well, and it kind of made her music so special. So the second source of inspiration for me also is like cultural events, like what's happening in the world right now. Like obviously we have a load of crazy stuff going on. There's always crazy stuff going on in the world, right? But why not write about that? You don't have to like really push that exact thing and put it in people's faces, but you can definitely use cultural things that are happening as inspiration just for your own mind, thinking I'm going through this weird time in my life, why not write a song about that? You don't have to call it COVID-19. You could call it something completely different, but it's been a sort of source of inspiration for me to sit down and write this particular piece of music. Number 3, something that's really I've used a lot in the past is books. Right now I'm not really reading too much. I don't have too much time spare for reading, but when I did have it, and if you have like a lot of spare time, definitely read some of the classics. I feel like you get a lot more in your head and more ideas when you're sitting down or lying down reading a book rather than just watching TV, and you kind of sometimes I'll just stop and I'll just start thinking about ideas more and more if I'm reading. And some of my tunes that have done the best in the past have come from reading books, such as like George Orwell's 1984 or Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. They all seem to be like some kind of dystopian themed like books, but yeah, this is a really nice way to get inspiration for like a theme for your track. That's worked for me anyway. So number 4 is classic TV, documentary, film, whatever. And in this one particularly, I actually often get inspired for the sound of like a song and less the actual theme. Like I think with books, you can get a bit more philosophical with your ideas and think of like a cool message or a theme for the track you want to convey from your books or from life or from cultural events. But like with TV and film, I often really get inspired by soundtracks, and I'll hear like one instrument. Like I think the last really inspiring, I definitely got inspired by Stranger Things a lot. I think my last release on Hands of Music was a lot inspired by Stranger Things because of like the kind of dark synth soundtrack they used, and I thought it was really, really cool. And I wanted to like create something a little bit similar to that, you know. But yeah, so TV and film, really, really cool way to get inspired, especially for the soundtrack kind of vibe. Number 5, last but not least, is music. This is just music in general, any kind of music I listen to from my iTunes library or whatever, like old classic stuff, rock stuff, hip hop, anything especially outside of the genre that you're working in. You might hear like a riff or a particular instrument or something that's done in a certain way, and you think, oh, how can I just sort of transpose that across into what I'm doing and into the genre that I'm doing? It takes something that's really that you're not used to and try and convert it over. And just by doing that and throwing it over and trying it out, you might not end up using it, but you'll have had some kind of other ideas that spawn from that in a different kind of way. So music is definitely in the top 5 as well. If I think of any more, I'll let you guys know. But please let me know, what do you use for inspiration? Any other cool ideas other than those? I would genuinely like to know, so I can also improve on my kind of process. So big ups guys, I hope you have a wicked week, and see you tomorrow.